Welcome to If It Ain't Broke. This is all about integrated marketing. So let's just jump in here. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, I know for a lot of you guys, this is a cliche and it's actually spawned its own cliche. If it ain't broke, break it. Okay, well, what does this mean? Well, unfortunately, that's just what many companies do unwittingly to their branding programs, playing into the hands of public enemy number one in today's marketing environment, fragmentation. Now, I think we all get the idea that marketing is all around us. I mean, you can't take two steps in this world without being hit with some sort of message. More and more television networks, radio stations, print titles, outdoor billboards, they're all competing for our attention here. And new marketing channels are popping up every single day, from apps to publicity stunts and beyond. Well, the number of places that we hit people with marketing messages these days is growing a lot faster than the number of eyeballs that can actually take them in. Now, what happens? Well, what happens is that as a result, audiences and attention spans are becoming increasingly fragmented, okay? Now, that reduces the chance of any message getting through. If you want to get your message out there, you want to sort of connect with your ideal customer, client, or even patient, no matter what type of business that you're in. As time goes on and as all these new platforms and all these different distractions in our information age, as all of these things become more and more enticing, fragmentation increases and it's harder and harder to get attention. So here's some of the effects of fragmentation. Even sales cycles are fragmenting beyond the online versus bricks and mortar divide to which we've become somewhat accustomed. So let's dig into this a little bit deeper. Desktop and application purchases are giving way to shopping via smartphone. Now, at a time when many companies don't even have a mobile version of their website, to say nothing of e-commerce capabilities. And this is happening all the time. You know, when I go to the shops on my iPhone, there's a little app on there called Red Laser. I think it's called Red Laser. Anyway, I can be out in the supermarkets and things like that, and I can scan the barcodes of things. And then my smartphone is going to instantly tell me whether or not that's a good deal that I'm getting, whether or not I should pay that price in real time. It's never really been like this. And also, if I'm out and about, sometimes I'm out on the tube and things like that, I may see an ad. Now, some ads are sort of up there and they're like, call this number. And other ads are really, really savvy and they've got a QR code. And I might just snap a picture of that QR code and then start checking that thing out. And unfortunately, we're a little bit behind here, so I can't actually browse the internet when we're on the underground, unlike Hong Kong, which is amazing for that. But anyway, I digress. The point is, theoretically, if we were in a civilized society here, I'd be able to snap that and I'd be able to buy that thing straight away if they had the proper mobile e-commerce things in place, or at least I would be able to put my name forward to get more information. So anyway, when you add inflation to this mix, even with 2 to 3% increases, the wonder of compounding is going to be working against you in your business. Well, why is this? Well, it's because fragmentation can shred what was once a healthy marketing budget. Okay, once it's kind of all over the place, once you lose that focus, then great marketing budget that would have served you well even 5 years ago is just not going to be enough today. So we know the problem, and it's a bit of a doozy, but how can you beat it? Well, the good news is that there's a powerful way to overcome fragmentation, and that is integration. Bring it all together. But don't be deceived. You know, I know it's one word and I say integration. You're like, okay, I don't need to watch the rest of the video. I'm good. I'm going to go out and I'm just going to integrate. Listen, it's more difficult than it appears. Integration is not simply slapping a common tagline onto all of your ads, using a single color palette, or force-fitting a message that's suited for one medium into another. Okay? It's so much more than that. And that's what we're going to try and tease out here. Great television commercials rarely translate very well to outdoor billboards, which in turn are very different from online banners. An ad is not an ad is not an ad. You really need to create for the platform that you're going to be presenting on. So how do you do that? Well, integration means communicating a consistent identity from message to message and medium to medium, and more importantly, delivering consistency on that identity. People should know who you are because that builds trust. It reminds me of an excellent book, The Speed of Trust. And one of the things that will make people trust you, trust your company, is by you guys being consistent, by them being able to always know essentially what they're going to expect. Okay. And you can see that in a great example in Apple Computers advertisings. Their television adverts are completely different to their website, and it's completely different to any billboards that they have. but they are the same. The message is the same. The identity is the same. You just know the Apple, that clean white with the product there and very little text and just a very punchy ad. You know that that's Apple. That's what I'm talking about here. Now, it requires not only the identification of a powerful unifying strategy and compelling voice for your brand, but the discipline to roll it into every aspect of your organization. From advertising to sales, customer service to customer relationship management programs and beyond. Integration means integration. Get that everywhere. And it's not for the faint of heart, okay? So consider this exercise. Try to recall the taglines of the world's 10 biggest advertisers. Okay, you got a little clue here. McDonald's, I'm loving it. You say McDonald's, I'm loving it. People just get that, okay? It's very snappy. It's very easy to recall. So some respondents get a handful correct, but by and large, everyone fails the assignment, underscoring the point that slogans aren't the answer, okay? But there's one company whose tagline people just always seem to remember, and that's McDonald's. Okay, well, why is that? Well, it's not because of the money the fast feeder spends, okay? Look, the other 9 top advertisers spend just as much or even more than McDonald's. It's because McDonald's has maintained a singular focus since 2003, okay? At the time of me recording that, that's almost a decade. So long ago that the famous pop music heartthrob named Justin, who helped launch the campaign, wasn't Bieber, but it was Timberlake, okay? Do you remember that guy? The whole I'm loving it effect, this fought off fragmentation really, really effectively. And it attracted, converted, retained, and engaged their customers. And that is the whole point of integration. If your brand isn't woven beyond your marketing efforts into your human resource practices, your training programs, even your compensation and employee evaluation metrics, you're leaving a huge opportunity on the table. And you shouldn't feel bad about this because, as we just discussed, most of even the top spending advertisers aren't getting this right. So if this is something that you don't quite have in place, then that's not a problem. So you're also going to be risking a backlash as, as spurned or burned customers use Facebook and Twitter to make their complaints heard. And remember, it's vital to deliver consistent signals in everything you do. It reminds me of anytime I think of my favorite hotel, there's a certain kind of level of service and a certain way that they treated me the very first time I went there. And that made me fall in love with the place. But what made me loyal, what made me sort of a raving fan of the place is that every time I go back there, they treat me the exact same way. Okay? And the hotel is incredible. It's one of the best kept little secrets in London. It's a very small little boutique hotel. And I don't want everybody to know about it, so I'm not going to share it. Okay, so that raises a question. If fragmentation is so damaging and integration such a powerful counterforce, why don't companies implement an integration strategy more often? Okay, well, that's a reasonable question. And it's a question that sitting down with clients I would have as well. So you have to understand, it's not for a lack of understanding, desire, or even intent in the mind of most marketers. It's for a lack of perseverance. And let me tell you something. As a management consultant going in and working with companies, and as a manager developing, training a team of consultants to actually go out and help people, let me tell you, perseverance is a rare asset in somebody. And if you can find someone who has ample amounts of perseverance, then keep a tight hold on them because they're very valuable people. Put simply, integration takes time, okay? It's not going to be like a quick fix type of thing. It's not easy to integrate a brand into a wide suite of processes, materials, and messages that have been shepherded by different people, driven by different objectives, and brought to life in different places within the organization. Remember, McDonald's has got that I'm loving it effect now, but they started this in 2003. At the end of 2003, they didn't have that effect yet. They may not even have that effect in 2004, 2005. It took time, but it's worth it. Now, many companies simply don't have the patience to see it through, and that's kind of the major constraint here. And beyond that, integrated branding takes time to soak into the marketplace. Consumers, they just don't pay attention as much or as quickly as they used to. So it's going to take longer. And guess what? As things become more fragmented out there, it's going to take even longer in the future. So when's the time to start getting this done? Well, the time is now. And research of hundreds of growth companies found that the average advertising campaign lasts approximately 2.3 years. and that companies that maintain healthy growth over time tend to have longer lasting campaigns, while those that struggle tend to change direction more frequently. That's a huge thing. And I'll give a football analogy, and if you're watching this in the States, a soccer analogy. In the Premier League here, you see a lot of teams and they change managers like every 12 to 18 months. And they struggle because they don't have that consistency. But whereas the most successful team in modern times, Manchester United, well, they've had their manager for like 20 years. They've got stability there. They've got players that have been there for 15 years. They've got players there that ever since I can remember, they've always been part of that team. Okay, and just having consistency and just having people set on, it has to be the right course, of course. It has to be the right course. However, as things are changing out in the world, you need to stay that course. You can't just be hopping to every new thing because guess what? There's always going to be something. Don't you think in the past 9 years, there's some other things and things that like bandwagons that McDonald's could have jumped on and dropped their tagline and done something else? Of course there were. Thousands per year. But what they did is they stayed the course. They had perseverance. And that's what we're getting at here. Let's take the Cola Wars, for instance. This is a prime example of what we're talking about here. Coke has remained the focus and the consistent cola company for years and is absolutely killing it with the market share. And Pepsi recently fell to number 3, okay, behind Coke and Diet Coke. And if I was running PepsiCo, then that would be a severe embarrassment for me. Now, as a result, PepsiCo recently announced a significant increase in marketing spending and has spent the better part of a year in extensive research and deep introspection. All right. It's not nice dropping to 3rd on your main products when spots 1 and 2 are held by the same company. For those of you that do search engine optimization, imagine you've got the top ranking in Google, and then all of a sudden, or you've got the 2nd ranking in Google, and all of a sudden you're 3rd ranked, and the top 2 results all go to the same company. You're going to be pretty upset. So, Advertising Age also reports that over the past 9 months, a core team of Pepsi marketers scoured the globe for inspiration, looked to the past for insights, and sought to understand precisely what made Pepsi different from Coke. There were exhaustive focus groups, in-home ethnographies, quantitative and qualitative studies, and cultural immersions in markets as diverse as Argentina, Australia, United Arab Emirates, and Russia. The thing is that, was that consistent? The brain trust at Pepsi appears to be taking the correct steps to right their brand ship. But as it does, it shouldn't neglect the need for and the power of long-term integration. Okay? Long-term integration. Neither should you. And all the more if your budget is a bit less than McDonald's or Pepsi's, which I'm imagining it might be. Find time to sort of go out there and gather as many different expressions of what your company says and does in one place so that you can then make an honest evaluation. Don't pull things out of the air. Get data. Find out what real people think. Survey your customers and say, if you had to describe us in 10 words or less, how would you do it? Or what are the emotions you feel when you use our products and service? Or tell us the most emotional experience you've had when using our products and service. All these types of things you can do to sort of find out what your expression should be. And by asking lots of different people, what you're going to find is you're going to find trends. Okay? Now, if it doesn't all connect, if you've got a thing and you've got an expression and you think, oh, I love this and this should be our company's tagline. Well, if that doesn't connect for you in a meaningful fashion, well, it's not going to connect for your customers and prospects either. It's really, really important when you're doing this. Anything that's going to be long-term also has to be extremely well organized. Now, if your strategy is weak or off the mark, well, you need to do what Pepsi is doing and re-examine everything and take the time to do that methodically. Okay, now, it may be that your problem is more a matter of execution. If that's the case, your enemy is entropy. Everything in the universe, including your brand, tends towards disarray. And in that case, your role is to be gravity and to pull everything together. No one else is going to do that for you. No one else is going to hold this together. This is your responsibility. So think and act smart. Let me tell you something. Not long ago, it was enough to have a great strategy and a big idea. But today, everything is different. Even the best ideas have a hard time getting off the ground as consumers' media and purchasing options, not to mention their attention spans, grow increasingly fragmented. If you want an example of this, I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk the other day, and he was talking about the future of social media and social media platforms. And listen, people still put a lot of stock in television advertising. Television advertising is king, ratings and eyeballs and all things like that. But there's going to come a time when it's just as easy to turn on Game of Thrones as it's going to be to turn on your favorite YouTube channel. And just like to have the entirety of YouTube right there on your TV. You don't have to be over at your computer. You don't have to like hook up all the wires. It's just going to be at the click of a button, and it's going to be free. If you think the fragmentation is as bad as it is now, especially if you're advertising on television, you just wait for that revolution, because it's happening. It's already started to happen. There's TVs out there that can do that. But listen, this is the same way as when flat streets started coming around, and now it's just the norm. That's going to be the norm in the future. And if you don't get in ahead of this trend, well, you're going to suffer. But getting ahead of the trend, as we've been discussing, isn't enough. It needs to be coherent and integrated and strategic. Now, while perfect integration is absolutely unachievable, companies that do the best job of harmonizing all their marketing efforts, they're the ones that have the distinct advantage. And that's really what I want to leave you with. So I hope that you're going to take this and actually go back and listen to this video again, but this time take some notes and ask yourself, how are these things going to apply to my business?